Creative nonfiction I'm analyzing today is an article from Bloomberg Businessweek. The title is "The CEO Paying Everyone 70,000 Salary Had Something to Hide: Inside the Viral Story of Gravity CEO Dan Price" by Karen Weise. This article talked about series interviews and the researching on how Dan Price, the young CEO of Gravity Payments, a Seattle credit card processing company, raised his employee minimum salary to $70,000 a year and cut his own $1.1 million compensation to help cover the cost. But the result shows that Price's words are inconsistent with the actual finance report, and he is now dealing with the lawsuit from his elder brother Lucas, who owns about 30% of Gravity, alleging Price paid himself too much in the first place. Wei's attitude changed along with her research on Price's story with his company Gravity and the detailed figures of finance ambition. Her technique of writing creative nonfictions present very well, showing us how her shifting feelings through her interview conversation and her managed research by timeline, not telling. Obviously, her viewpoint do skew her presentation, especially talking over her two interviews with the Mr. Price. At the beginning, she felt impressive and unbelievable from Price's bold decision on wage hike. Her article started with the sentence, "It seems too good to be true." She even described the news as a capitalist fairy tale to counter growing inequality. But when she began searching for the actual reasons why Price made this wage hike happen, she became very doubtful of Price's honesty due to his inconsistency over his pay and the company's profits. And as Wells knew more about Price, such as him being arrogant and impolite during the interviews and him showing off with various medias to grab people's attention, her tone turned to disappointment and satire. Her unpleasant interview experience made with Dan Price caused her dislike and biases to him, and her tone is negative when describing Mr. Price. The first interpretive bias I found within me is is while I was reading is that at the beginning I looked at Dan Price as very kind and a generous businessman because I saw people who are willing to give their own fortunes to all other people are successful, incredible, and virtuous. So I assume that Price is one of the people I always read from the newspaper, and maybe Ways misunderstood him. This interpretive bias, along with representative heuristics, could be reduced by not judging him before doing researches, not only listening to one article's opinions. The second interpretive bias is my trust over the author, because I find out that she is a recipient of the Markfeld Scholarship for Investigative Reporting at UC Berkeley's Graduate School of Journalism, and she came to journalism from a business background after graduating cum laude from Yale University. Her education history adds more authority to her article, and I was more easily influenced by her emotions over Price. I would feel malcontent when Price was denying his words. The way to avoid this bias is not to assume that I understood her feelings since I was not attendant when the story happened, and not to get the background information of the author before reading the article. I have to equally treat every article I read, knowing knowing that whether judged by knowing that whether judged by gross or net revenue, price pay was typical for a company its size. I do not see him as selfless as much I thought before reading this context. And as a female, knowing his ex-wife's story makes me feel antipathetic towards Price. The last point is about his speech, touching on how he wanted to make a difference and having impacts on his employee. But when I actually did some research on the real paper, I feel that Price was really deceiving people because his statements twist the facts. The essay original presents it is saying that the salary that maximizes happiness is 75,000 a year or more, and the happiness does not decrease after 75,000 a year, but remains relatively constant. The conclusion of the essay is money does not guarantee happiness, but poverty prevents you from achieving happiness. Now, I saw him as a professional, and I think his proposal of wage hike are deceptions. I think this article helps me realize my interpreted biases and offers me the cause and the effects of the whole wage hike story.